So it seems the crazy crypto gains are right around the corner with, as it currently stands, such a crazy change in the US dollar supply over the last few years, combined with the heavy rate cuts we saw over the past few days. To actually read this one, Standard Chartered's Geoff Kendrick predicts Bitcoin and the crypto market is going up following the Federal Reserve's recent rate cut, regardless of who wins the US presidential election. And again, the post there was that Bitcoin to hit 200,000 by the end of 2025, says Standard Chartered executive, regardless of the election outcome. According to the bank's executive, three factors are poised to, let's quickly see here on the right, drive for the price of Bitcoin to a new all-time high in 2025, including the likely removal of SAB 121, a marginal uptick in inflation, and positive inflows into Bitcoin. Well, if you're wondering how the Bitcoin ETF has been doing, or matter of fact, how all of them have been doing, it's been interesting to say the least. Now, the last couple of days here that we saw action, they were actually quite positive. And I'd say if I have to give a summary of, the second half of September here, at least everywhere from after the first week, has been quite positive, with 2 days of outflows, one of 43 million and one of 52. Generally speaking, though, quite bullish, with BlackRock in the entirety of September only having one negative day, but generally speaking, BlackRock doing nothing throughout the entire month. Just no movement here. But then again, I will have to say that Michael Saylor, I think they just raised $1 billion or so. I think that was just announced like today or yesterday. But another thing that was pretty massive that happened, I think yesterday somewhere, was the SEC just granted approval or accelerated approval, matter of fact, for the listing and trading of options on IBIT. Again, that's the Bitcoin ETF from BlackRock. There's the full approval. And yeah, it was said a little bit earlier there as well. The SEC approves options trading for the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF on NASDAQ. SEC has approved the NASDAQ's request to list and trade options for the BlackRock Spot Bitcoin ETF, which again is pretty juicy. Anyway, like we were talking about slightly earlier, money supply M2 also just hit a new all-time high, and historically, Bitcoin price actually follows. If we're taking a look, the global M2 versus Bitcoin, the moment it starts going up, Bitcoin starts going up, huh? Anyway, I think that right now a lot of money is sidelined as people are waiting for Bitcoin to make the move. There's still some potential downside for Bitcoin that people are fearful of, as well, we had ourselves a massive rate cut and things started soaring afterwards. Some people are saying, that euphoria, even though theoretically speaking, it should be the narrative going forward, as inflation creeps up again, rates get cut, and we start spiraling a little bit out of control, that the narrative should continue, but most likely there will be some sort of new correction or crash of sorts happening. And the moment that happens, well, they want to be able to buy the dip, or rather, they do not want to commit to alts just quite yet for in case it does. Now, in my own humble opinion, it's not the stupidest of ideas. I've said it before that I believe the altcoin supercycle is not here just quite yet, but it will most likely be signified or shown to us once Bitcoin starts making its move. Another interesting part, I suppose, is for all the XRP holders out there. The SEC just approved Ripple's request to delay the $140 million payment amid appeal speculation. So what basically happened a little while back is that Ripple asked the court if they could just not send over the money, right, that they were supposed to pay to the SEC until after, or I think even a month after, the appeal deadline is there or closed off. And the main reason behind that being that they don't have to hand over money to the SEC, who they can, theoretically speaking, use that money to sue them, right? So what changed now, because the court has approved it, is Ripple has to send over $140 million into an account to basically prove that they've got the money. And so it's basically away from them, but it's not in the SEC's position to use yet to, for example, use against Ripple, which I think is pretty wise. It includes interest rate payments, it includes everything. And yeah, it's not really that big a deal, I think, for the most part. I think it's just a very, very standard procedure, but it did happen, and it seems to be the #1 trendy article of the day. So I thought, hey, let's quickly cover it. People are saying, oh, an appeal is now for certain. I don't think that's the case, because if the SEC does not appeal, the money will still go to the SEC. rather quickly. If they do appeal, though, the money will go to them after the whole lawsuit is finished, you know, after the end of the end of the end. Then again, I don't think it really says too much. I think this is absolutely standard. If there's potential of an appeal, you do not want the entity that's going after you to get such an influx of money that they're going to be able to use against you. It's not like the SEC is poor. Theoretically speaking, they've got infinite funds to go after you. So I'm not sure if it will really change anything. It's more about the principle of them then using your own money against you. Whereas theoretically speaking, they still have time to change things up. And so since the deadline is not met, why hand it over? It doesn't really make sense. I personally think this should be the standard regardless. But anyway, it was approved, and so that's what's going on with XRP. Man, if we're talking about XRP, I saw a couple of articles about David Schwartz putting some speculatory pieces out there. I'll say one thing. Once this bull run rolls around in the proper form, if XRP doesn't do well, I'd be surprised. That's all I'm about to say. Then again, XRP is not the only coin I have or that I would ever tell anybody to only go for. And that's because it serves a specific purpose, and you just don't know what the next trend of the run is going to be. Will it do well? I think probably. There's a good chance it will. Is it the only thing I'm going for? No. Should you only hold one crypto? No, I don't think so either, etc., etc. Anyway, that's it for about right now. Most things are looking bullish, extremely so. So I'm just stacking up. I don't think it's the right time to start cashing out now. But hey, that's just me. There's still some potential for further downside, but generally macroeconomically wise, it's just in a really, really good position right now. And yeah, I wanted you guys to know that.